Security Officer Jason Parker stood in front of the glass door of the VIP lounge, staring determinedly at a black woman. "I'm afraid you cannot enter this area," he said coldly. "This is for exclusive members only." Alicia Wright's eyes narrowed. For 2 years, she had worked tirelessly to modernize this airport, and now she was being denied access to the VIP lounge of her own project. A voice inside her said, "Just wait. In a few minutes, this security guard's world will completely change." "But I have a membership," said Alicia, the impatience in her voice slightly evident. "I'm Platinum Elite status. For 2 years now." Jason looked at her with disbelieving eyes, hesitating even as his gaze moved from Alicia's impeccable suit to her expensive bag. Her brown skin seemed to deepen the suspicion in Jason's eyes. This look wasn't unfamiliar to Alicia. She had seen it all her life. "May I see your card?" Jason's voice was formal and distant. Alicia opened her bag, her elegant fingers finding the elite membership card she was looking for, and handed it over. The platinum card gleamed in the light beneath the airport logo. Jason took the card, gave it a superficial glance, and returned it, as if he had touched something dirty. "This card is not valid," he said decisively. "What do you mean, not valid?" Alicia's voice rose. "I used it just last week." Jason shrugged, barely hiding a small smile that appeared on his lips. "It's not showing up in the system. Perhaps your membership has expired." Alicia took a deep breath, trying to maintain her composure. A group of passengers had begun to gather around them, mostly white, mostly watching the incident with curious looks. Such incidents were not new to her. Since graduating from Harvard University, despite everything she had achieved, she had been questioned because of her skin. There was no reason for her to panic. "Please check your system again," said Alicia, her voice now completely calm. "My name is Alicia Wright." Jason sighed, ostentatiously typed something into his tablet computer, and shook his head. "No, there's no such record in the system." "Then may I please speak with your manager?" "I'm afraid my manager is not available at the moment." Jason held the door even tighter, as if trying to create a physical barrier. "Unfortunately, this is a private area, and we have rules. I ask for your understanding." From inside the VIP lounge, a middle-aged white man sitting in one of the luxurious chairs was watching the incident. A mocking smile spread across his face as he watched Jason reject Alicia despite her well-groomed hair and expensive suit. He stood up and approached the door, as if he were about to intervene like a perfect knight. "What's the problem, Jason?" he asked from inside the VIP lounge, his voice seemingly quite friendly, but there was a distinct sense of superiority in his eyes. "Nothing, Mr. Whitfield," said Jason. "Just a small disagreement. This lady wants to come in, but her membership doesn't appear in the system." Mr. Whitfield gave Alicia an arrogant look. "Ah, I see. Well, perhaps there's been a mistake. She can come in as my guest." Alicia's jaw tensed. Being treated as if she were standing there looking for help felt like the greatest insult to her. "Thank you, but I have a membership." "The problem must just be a system error." Mr. Whitfield smiled with fake politeness. "I insist. Women always need help, don't they, Jason?" Jason chuckled slightly, inappropriately even in Alicia's presence. "Of course, Mr. Whitfield. Especially some women." The emphasized word "some" hung in the air, and Alicia knew exactly what it meant. In the busy atmosphere of the airport, this small conflict outside the VIP lounge was just one of thousands of little pinpricks Alicia had been subjected to in many areas of life. But today was a different day. Today was a day that would change her destiny. Alicia took out her cell phone. "It seems I'll have to resolve this another way." Her fingers moved rapidly across the phone screen, dialing a number. Jason and Mr. Whitfield looked at each other, confident that the support line Alicia was calling couldn't do anything to them, not even hiding their small smiles. "Hello, Charles," Alicia said into the phone, her voice now more formal and solid. "It's Alicia. Yes, I'm at the airport. I can't get into the VIP lounge. The security officer claims my card is invalid." Jason sighed in frustration. "Ma'am, calling customer service won't get you anywhere. Our rules are clear." Alicia continued talking on the phone, not responding to Jason. "I understand. Yes, I'm waiting here." She hung up and began to wait, her eyes fixed on a distant corner of the airport, as if expecting something or someone to arrive. Jason was beginning to feel uncomfortable with Alicia's calmness. There was something different about this woman. Ms. Wright, you really can... His words were cut off by the sound of urgent footsteps coming from the end of the corridor. Charles Martin, the head of airport operations, was approaching rapidly with two security chiefs. His face was flushed, beads of sweat shining on his forehead. Even his gray suit didn't sit properly on him. Perhaps he had come running. Ms. Wright, he called out as he approached Alicia, his voice almost in panic. I apologize, I really apologize for this confusion. The expression on Jason's face changed, a mixture of surprise and fear suddenly appearing. Mr. Martin, what? Charles gave Jason a stern look. Be quiet, Parker. You've talked enough. Charles turned to Alicia, extending his hand. I'm ashamed to welcome you like this, Ms. Wright. It's unacceptable for you to be subjected to such treatment on the first day of your new position. Mr. Whitfield intervened from behind the door, the arrogant expression on his face now replaced with surprise. Charles, who is this woman? Why are you so agitated? The tone in his voice was somewhat condescending, as if Charles's concern for this woman was meaningless. Charles turned to Whitfield with unmistakable tension in his voice. Mr. Whitfield, let me introduce you. This is Alicia Wright, the new chairwoman of the board and general manager of our airport. She officially starts her duty today. There was a silence in the lounge. Jason's eyes widened, all color draining from his face. Mr. Whitfield was also in shock, frozen with his mouth open. The new manager? Jason stammered, as if his vocal cords refused to accept this reality. Yes, said Alicia in a calm voice. I officially start my duty today, and unfortunately, the first experience of my duty hasn't been very good. There wasn't the slightest sign of victory in her eyes. She looked completely professional. Charles bowed his head in shame. I'm really very sorry, Ms. Wright. This is unacceptable behavior. I thought our employees were better trained. He said I wasn't in the system, said Alicia, looking at Jason, and he refused to call his manager. This is something I cannot accept under any circumstances. Charles's face reddened with anger. He turned to one of the security chiefs. Bring me Jason Parker's personnel file. Also, I want to see all complaints from the last 2 weeks. This isn't the first time, is it? The security chief bowed his head slightly. No, sir. There are several similar reports. Charles turned back to Jason. Is this true, Parker? Did you claim that Ms. Wright's record wasn't in the system? Jason swallowed. I was just following protocol, sir. I looked in the system and couldn't find her record. Alicia turned to Charles. May I see a list of elite members in the system? Charles immediately gave an order to the security chief beside him. The chief quickly brought a tablet and handed it to Alicia. Alicia scanned the list and pressed her finger on a point on the screen. She was elegant, calm, and completely in control. Here I am, she said. Alicia Wright, Platinum Elite member, for 2 years. Jason shifted uncomfortably. I must have checked a different list. He crossed his arms defensively, as if trying to protect himself from a physical attack. Charles looked at the security chief angrily. Check the access records to Jason's computer. I want to see which lists he looked at. The security chief immediately got to work, entering some commands on his tablet. Digital records never lied. Within a few minutes, he had the results. Sir, he said with a concerned voice, as he now faced a completely different manager. Parker accessed the system correctly and clearly saw Ms. Wright's name. According to the records, he even clicked on her profile. He even examined the photo in the profile for about 15 seconds. The lounge once again fell into silence. This time, all eyes were on Jason. Did you lie to me, Parker? Charles's voice was ice cold. Jason stammered, raising his hands defensively. I just, as per protocol, we verify every customer's identity and you, said Alicia, her voice calm but with a steely tone, looked at my profile, saw who I was, and still decided not to let me in. Why? Jason remained silent, unable to answer. His face was now reddening, not from shame, but from anger. This woman was ruining his career. Why can Mr. Whitfield enter while I cannot? Alicia continued. We have the same elite status. What's the only difference? She was asking a question she already knew the answer to, and everyone in the room knew the answer. The answer was in their skin. Mr. Whitfield, still standing at the lounge door, shifted uncomfortably. I, I just wanted to help. My intention. I see, said Alicia, cutting him off. Then she turned to Charles. This is my first day, and I can't even get into the airport's VIP lounge. I wonder how this problem will be solved. Her voice was now ice cold, with a distinct authority in her words. Charles responded without hesitation. Parker, surrender your badge and ID card now. You are relieved of your duty effective immediately. Jason's eyes widened. But Mr. Martin, I don't want any objections, said Charles sternly. Our company policy is clear. Personnel who discriminate are immediately dismissed. Mr. Whitfield ... Mr. Whitfield nervously cleared his throat. Yes, he was no longer the superior one, and he knew it. Mr. Whitfield, your behavior will also be examined. VIP membership rules apply to everyone and cannot be manipulated. Mr. Whitfield paled. Of course, I apologize. He was no longer Mr. Whitfield, just an ordinary, frightened man. Charles finally opened the door of the VIP lounge and made way for Alicia to enter. This was a symbolic gesture, the beginning of a change. Ms. Wright, please. It goes without saying that this place belongs to you. Alicia nodded and entered the VIP lounge. Everyone inside was looking at her, some with curiosity, some in shock, and some with shame. Alicia ignored all their gazes and headed for a chair in the farthest corner. This was the first test moment in her new position, and she had handled it perfectly. Charles, she said as she sat down, we have a board meeting at 10. Our agenda includes company culture and customer service training. I think we need to address these topics in more detail. There was now a clear, authoritative tone in her voice, undeniable and powerful. Charles nodded. Absolutely, Ms. Wright. I'll prepare everything. With the awareness that she was now his manager, Charles's attitude had completely changed. Jason, still not fully digesting his dismissal, was being escorted out by the security chiefs. His badge and card had been taken from him, as if a part of his identity had been stolen. Alicia watched him, her gaze sharp and clear. As she opened the file on her table, she knew that her first official decision would be to initiate a new training program throughout the airport. In the VIP lounge, other passengers were whispering, discussing the incident. Alicia didn't look at them. She took out her phone and checked a few emails, acting as if nothing had just happened in her life. This was also a strategy. Never show your emotions, never appear weak. This was the most valuable lesson she had learned throughout her life. In the afternoon, Alicia held her first official meeting. The airport's senior executives filled the conference room. Alicia's presence had completely changed the atmosphere in the room. Charles formally introduced her, then Alicia took the podium. Thank you all, she said, her voice calm and determined. We have a long way to go to bring this airport up to world standards. You may all have heard about the incident this morning. This is unacceptable at our airport. I want every customer, every employee to be respected, regardless of their names, genders, races, or religions. This is the point where I will not show tolerance. The room was quiet, everyone listening to her carefully. Even Charles had slightly bowed his head, respecting her authority. Starting today, we are initiating a new training program. All staff will receive anti-discrimination awareness training. This is not an option, it's a requirement. No one at our airport will be excluded in any way. After the meeting, Alicia returned to her office. From the window, she could see the runway and planes preparing for takeoff. Each plane represented a journey, a change, just like her own life. Her secretary knocked on the door and entered. Ms. Wright, I brought you something. She left an envelope on the desk. From Mr. Whitfield. Alicia opened the envelope. Inside was a short note. Ms. Wright, I apologize for my behavior this morning. My prejudices guided me, and this is unacceptable. Thank you for opening my eyes. Respectfully, Edward Whitfield. Alicia smiled after reading the note. Perhaps change was possible. Perhaps, one person at a time, the world could be changed. That evening, as Alicia was heading home, she saw an email notification on her phone. The airport board had issued an official apology regarding the Jason Parker incident. More importantly, the new training program Alicia had proposed had been approved. Alicia smiled. She had initiated a change in just a few hours. This might be just the beginning of a long and challenging road, but today she had won a small victory. And sometimes that's exactly what it takes to create change in the system. One person having the courage to do the right thing, in the right place, at the right time. In her home office, Alicia looked at a framed photograph of her grandmother. It was a photo taken next to Rosa Parks. Her grandmother had fought as a civil rights activist. "As I promised you, Grandma," Alicia whispered, "I will bring change." Outside, the city lights were shining. Tomorrow was a new day, and Alicia Wright was determined to build a new culture at the airport. One brick at a time, one change at a time.